guys, welcome back to For Strong and Growing. If you haven't been to my channel before, I make videos all about motherhood and pregnancy, and now I am starting my postpartum series. Believe it or not, it's already been a month since I had my third baby. Time is just flying by so fast. I can't believe she's a month old and I'm a month out of that delivery. You guys seem to really enjoy my weekly pregnancy updates, so I wanted to keep that going postpartum because I think that postpartum is even less talked about than pregnancy is, but it is so hard to sit down and make these videos with a brand new baby. Hence my freshly out of the shower hair, and I'm in pajama pants with milk stains on it. Listen, this is the second time that I've worn makeup in a month. However, I really want to put in an effort and try to make at least monthly postpartum updates for you. Not that much is changing week to week anyway, especially once you get past like the first month of postpartum. Not that much is changing week to week, so monthly updates probably makes more sense anyway. So I want to kick it off now and talk about my first month postpartum. It's been a very busy month. First, before we get into my symptoms and what's been going on, I want to give a little recap for anyone who hasn't been following along with my weekly pregnancy updates, or anyone who hasn't seen my labor and delivery vlog. And if you haven't seen any of those videos, I will link them in the description for you. They're all in a playlist called My Third Pregnancy. I especially recommend the labor and delivery vlog because it is very raw and real, and it's just so funny for me to look back at now because I say things like, oh, we're going to the hospital a little bit early when I'm not in immense pain because we didn't pre-register. I'm watching it being like, girl, you're 8 centimeters dilated in the car, like get your butt to the hospital, otherwise you're gonna have that baby in the car. But I just didn't know it at the time. Okay. Anyway, background information. I had an unmedicated vaginal delivery at a hospital. It was completely uncomplicated. I was RH positive, GBS negative, baby was head down in the right position. There was literally nothing out of the ordinary to it. When she was born, she was 7 pounds, 1 ounce. I did not end up tearing. My doctor describes it as me having a skid mark, and he said that putting a stitch in there would probably cause more problems than just leaving it alone. So he opted to not put a stitch in there. So I'm considering that not tearing. On the delivery day, I really wasn't in that much pain. I think I had so much adrenaline going through me, especially because I had an unmedicated birth. It's always just like this euphoric feeling afterwards. Nothing could bring me down. I was really in no pain except when the nurses had to do my fundal massage, which I hate that they even call that a massage. That's so rude. If you don't know what that is, after you give birth, the nurses will push down on your belly every once in a while. Anyone who's had that done to them knows that it's really painful. And if you've had an epidural, you don't really feel it, so it's not that bad. But if you go unmedicated, it is so uncomfortable, but it's necessary to make sure that you're healthy. So that was the only pain that I had that day. I also had ibuprofen and Motrin on board. I was also taking Colace in the hospital to soften my stool. The next day, I was in a little bit more pain because the adrenaline had gone down, and I was just kind of feeling the effects of everything when I woke up the next morning. I still was taking the ibuprofen and the Motrin, and on top of that pain, I also had nipple pain from breastfeeding. My plan initially was to exclusively breastfeed because that's what I tried to do with my first 2 babies as well. Unfortunately, I had to supplement both of them because I didn't have enough of a milk supply, but this time I was like, I know there are certain things that I can improve to make my milk supply go up. I'm gonna drink so much water, I'm gonna eat more food, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna pump. Like, I had all these plans this time. It's like kind of going to plan and kind of completely did not go to plan. So I'm gonna make a whole separate video about breastfeeding and pumping because I have just a lot to say about that. But basically now I am pumping during the day and breastfeeding at night, and it's working out really well. I love seeing exactly how much milk I'm producing and being able to calculate that. I like data. Compared to my husband, it doesn't even look like I like data because he's like the data king. So we have spreadsheets. We have these daily goals of milliliters of milk that we're trying to hit every day based on how much weight she's supposed to be gaining, and we're tracking everything, and it's just really cool to see. So I want to make a whole video on that. Her latch is a little bit shallow. Maybe my nipples are too big for her mouth, and also instead of both of her lips being flared out. The bottom one flares out and the top one curves in, and it really caused a lot of pain. So I had open sores on my nipples. They were cracked and bleeding by like day 3. I was bleeding when I was pumping and it was ruining the milk. I was having to dump milk out. Anyway, that's when the breastfeeding pain started. It's always hard breastfeeding because your nipples are usually sore for the first probably like 2 weeks, and then they kind of toughen up and get used to it, but it was just not working out this time. There wasn't enough time for them to heal, which is why I had to start pumping, because the pumping was not painful. It was only when she was latching that I was getting the pain. Going back to day 1 in the hospital, I ended up getting discharged around 3 to 4 p.m. and on the way home I picked up my prescriptions from Walgreens, which was just for ibuprofen and Colace. I definitely should not have walked inside there because it was too much walking for me, because of course they put the pharmacy all the way to the back of the store. I'm going so slow, shuffling. There are these teenagers in there throwing things back and forth in the aisle, like playing hide and seek, or I don't know, they were messing around doing something. And I just felt so old shuffling through there in my pajamas going to get my Colace prescription. That's life, whatever. And then I shuffle all the way back out of the store to the car, and Matt couldn't go in for me because it's my prescription, so it has to be me picking it up. So I get back to the car and I get in and I go, that was way too much walking for me. I shouldn't have done that. And then we start driving away and we see the drive-through for the pharmacy on the side of the building, and we're like, oh, guess we should have done that. Anyway, next time. So day 2 is when my milk started to come in. If you've never felt that before, if you're like a first-time mom and you're wondering what that feels like or how you'll know when your milk is coming in, if you push down on them, they'll feel hard and just a little bit sore. The only other thing that I can remember from day 2 is that my belly on the bottom side, like underneath my belly button, was really, really numb. My belly when I was pregnant, it got stretched out so far this time. It was definitely bigger than my first 2 pregnancies, and I think it might have just temporarily damaged some nerves there. It's starting to come back now, so I don't think it was anything permanent or serious. Day 3 is when I started pumping during the day and breastfeeding at night. I realized that I needed a break from her latch problems during the day, but I was able to breastfeed her at night. On day 5, I was feeling adventurous and stopped taking my ibuprofen because I wasn't in any pain and I didn't think that I needed it anymore. And then on day 6, I was like, oh, that was a mistake. And I started taking my ibuprofen again. In the shower, the water pressure was kind of uncomfortable, especially hitting my nipples. It hurt really bad, and also hitting my stomach. By the end of the first week, my nipples were so cracked and bleeding. It was a bad situation. The only thing that I was using was lanolin, but every time I would put on my bra, the lanolin would kind of like make them stick to the bra material. And then when it was the next time to pump, it's kind of gross. I was peeling my nipples like off of my bra, and then some of the scabs were coming with it, and it would just open up the sore again. It was not a good situation. My mom, who is a retired nurse who was staying with us, was like, why don't you just get some Tefla pads? I was like, what are Tefla pads? And she explained that they are basically non-stick pads that you can use for dressing wounds. So I went on Amazon and I bought a bunch of those, and they have been a lifesaver. I've never used really like nursing pads. Maybe nursing pads would do the same thing, although in my head I thought they were like softer, like a more cotton material, which in my head would still stick to cracked nipples. I don't know if those would work exactly the same way. They totally might, but to me the Tefla pads were a total hack. I also like that they're really thin and they fit really nicely in my bra, and it's like very discreet. So they've been working out perfectly. I highly recommend them if you're having trouble. So then going into the second week postpartum, my nipples were starting to toughen up. The combination of pumping during the day and only breastfeeding at night, using lanolin, and then using the Tefla pads in my bra, that was the golden combination that I needed to kind of heal everything. So my showers started becoming more comfortable, and then I got brave and adventurous again and stopped taking my Colace this time. And then I instantly regretted that the next day because TMI, I had a really big poo-poo, guys, and it kind of tore me open a little bit. It hurt really bad. So I have been taking my Colace since then, and honestly, I'm still taking it even a month out. When I got got the prescription, I was like, oh my gosh, this is enough Colace to last me the rest of my life. Why did he prescribe me so much Colace? Now I see why he prescribed me so much Colace. The first 2 weeks, I definitely didn't feel like I was ready to do laundry and household chores, lift anything heavy. And technically I'm still not supposed to be doing that until my until my 6-week checkup. The third week, I started to feel like I had more energy, just like I could do a little bit more, like maybe 1 load of laundry every couple days. And now by week 4, I definitely feel like I can do more, but I'm still trying not to go up and down the stairs too much or lift anything too heavy until I get clearance at my 6-week appointment. During week 3, I ran out of my incontinence underwear and I switched to wearing just my regular pads that I wear during my regular period. My bleeding during week 3 was definitely not as heavy as a regular period at all, but that's just the pads that I have at home. Honestly, my bleeding throughout this whole postpartum recovery really wasn't that bad, but it was consistent every single day, and it didn't stop until actually just recently, a couple days ago, it stopped completely. Also during that 3rd week, I started to get my feeling back on my tummy. And then, like I said, for week 4, I've stopped bleeding. I am still taking my Colace, and actually I was saying how my nipples are doing so much better, but actually I just recently got some more sores, and it's because Adalia had her birthday party. We went to a venue to do it. I decided that I was going to breastfeed during the party. She breastfed twice throughout the duration of the party, and I felt fine when she was doing it, but then I also breastfed her that night like I always normally do. All of that combined was just too much breastfeeding, and now I have open sores on both of my nipples. Last night was actually the first night that I exclusively pumped throughout the day and throughout the night. I woke up 3 times during the night to pump, and I bottle fed her, and it actually wasn't as inconvenient as I thought it would be. And I do like, for data purposes, that now I see the exact amount of milk that I produced in a whole 24-hour period. I produced over 800 milliliters of milk, which I'm so proud of. So I have a huge freezer stash at this point. I actually need to start probably going through it quicker than I am because it's really starting to build up, and I don't have a storage. This is like off topic. I don't have a storage system for the milk bags, and it's driving me nuts having them all like crazy. I'm trying to put them in Ziploc bags, and it's working a little bit better, but for a while I was just stacking them and it wasn't working out at all. So anyway, the newest symptom that I have popping up right now, no pun intended, is pimples on my face, which, I mean, I don't need to zoom in on them or anything, but you can probably see that I have one right here under my nose. I have another one on my chin. There's a couple more like on this jawline area. So whenever I get them here, I know that it's definitely hormone related. So yeah, the pregnancy glow is officially gone. This is the result, but that is okay. It is all worth it, of course. The last thing that I want to do is I want to show you my belly and kind of what my postpartum body is looking like, because I definitely think that it's important to normalize what it looks like. Why do you think it's so funny? Copeland is in here now, sitting on the floor watching me film, and he apparently thinks that this is funny. So if you hear little giggles,
the belly so funny.
Oh, my belly is funny. Yeah, so he says that I am squishy like a pillow, and it is very squishy and very jiggly. So I just want to show you guys, because this is all normal. I want everyone to feel empowered even in their postpartum bodies, and I don't want anyone feeling alone. So here we go. Yeah, so this is what my belly is looking like 1 month postpartum.
That looked like an eyeball. Your belly button.
I know, my belly button. My husband said that it looks like a toasted marshmallow. My son is saying it looks like an eyeball. It is still sticking out the wrong way. Also, this is me not sucking in or anything. If I tighten up my muscles, that's what it looks like. But that's it just normally. It is super jiggly. I have that really dark line down here. I have more stretch marks this time than I've had any other pregnancy, and it's totally okay. So that brings us to the end of this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who you think would enjoy it. Stay tuned for my 2-month postpartum video. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.